Hello and welcome back to the J&Z podcast. My name is Jace Van Ort,
And I'm Zeph Makala.
and today we're going to be jumping right into things talking about Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. It's one of our favorite movies, and we'd love to talk about the movie and the new trailer that just came out for the new movie. So, just to kick things off, Seth, how did you first hear about this movie?
Well, I remember back when the Sony hack happened and like a ton of movies got announced or leaked, I would say. And this was one of them. They were doing a Spider-Verse quote unquote movie or a Miles Morales movie. I forget what the article said, but it was something to that extent. And I remember thinking that sounded like the dumbest idea in the world.
Really? I mean, I kind of see where you're coming from. You're like, well, why don't you just make a Spider-Man movie, you know? Just like a
Yeah.
Peter Parker Spider-Man, but well, we were clearly proven wrong. I first heard about it when my friend said, "Hey, there's this movie in the theaters that I really liked. You want to go see it?" And I said yes, and it was an excellent movie. If I do say so myself, I went back to go watch it again the next week. So
Yeah, this is the only movie I can say I've watched in the theater twice. I had to go back for another go.
and I've watched it multiple times since, and I'm pretty sure Zeth has too.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Why do you think this movie works when, let's just say, some of the other Spider-Man movies, not getting too much into detail, what do you think this one really does right?
I think it establishes character the best, and also the story is really well done, and the humor works as well, and it just embraces a really good comic book feel.
True that. I remember hearing about that and how they made everything like double the they made the entire movie at double the frame rate or whatever, but then they skipped every other frame so it looked more like it was like a choppy comic book scene while it still seemed like it was very fluid.
Yeah, so when this is kind of off topic, but so Miles, how throughout the film he's learning to be Spider-Man?
Yeah, yeah.
If you watch him very closely, he runs at a different frame rate than every other Spider-Man. It's because the other Spider-Man, I forget what frame rate it is, maybe 24 frames a second that they run at, but they're
Mm-hmm.
running at a higher frame rate than Miles. And then once Miles at the end becomes his version of Spider-Man fully, when he jumps off the bridge, that's when he becomes 24 frames a second.
Okay, that's really cool. I had never even noticed that throughout the movie.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're watching it again, if you go back recently, just watch Miles Morales, and then whenever like him and Peter B. Parker on the same screen, there's a lot of movements that are just a little hitch here and there compared to Miles.
You know, I have to say, when I first watched the movie, it was so jarring. Seeing, I was like, what was wrong with this movie? It just didn't look quite right. It was so choppy compared to anything else. It was like, but then eventually, you actually hear why they did that, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I will say when I first watched it I mean, it took a very long time for me to get used to the way it moved because there was some movement where it was fully animated, but then there would be a moment where they would move a hand or something like that, and it didn't look like it was fully animated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, it just doesn't look quite right sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, once you get used to it, it is really cool.
Once you know of that trick, what they're trying to go for, it does make you feel like it's the closest you're going to get to making it be a comic book without, flipping through pages.
Yeah.
Just the art style and the way they like everything was composed together with that frame rate trick that they did. I just love the art style of that movie. It has some of the poppiest colors. It's got it's just got so much character to it, and it's just a beautiful, vibrant world. And I think that helps it too.
Yeah, it's definitely really colorful. I will say this movie, when we went to go see it, I was not looking forward to seeing it personally.
No,
No, I what happened was I was going to skip this movie completely. I just thought it was a way for Sony to make money when it came to their animated films, because previously they did the Emoji Movie, and that, I don't care if you like it or not, that is still the most awfulest trailer I've ever watched in my entire life.
It's a pretty bad movie as well. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you're talking.
I
Wait, no,
haven't
you're
watched it. I haven't watched it yet, but I refuse to.
the Emoji Movie.
Yeah, I refuse. I don't
I've
want to
seen it a few
watch.
times.
You've seen
Not on
it a few
purpose.
times.
Not on purpose. I never saw it in theaters, of course, but I did see it. Just my mom will watch anything, and so will my sister. They don't care about quality or anything, so they'll just throw something on. So I've ended up seeing it more than I would have liked, which is more than one time.
Oh no. Yeah, I remember that came out and I was like, "Oh man, they're just desperate because, the Spider-Man brand, and of course it's going to make a lot of money because, it's Spider-Man obviously."
But no, they did a great job with it. Another thing that I really, really liked about it was the music. It just started off so
Yep.
well with Post Malone and Sunflower, and it just had a incredible soundtrack throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the lyrical music. I mean, it's good, but the score, like the actual musical score, that is really, really well done.
I don't know. They just did wonderful with that, and I can't speak highly enough about this movie.
Yeah.
They did some things in there that you don't normally see in kids animated movies if you really think about it. The opening scene with Peter Parker, he dies. Like, you watch him get absolutely brutally killed by Kingpin. You're
Yeah.
like, what on earth is going on here? This is a kids movie, but it's great because they're willing to do stuff like that.
I like that they didn't hold back.
No, they didn't. And that really made the scene all that more emotional. You're like, what on earth? You didn't see that coming, it's Peter Parker. He always comes out on top. He's always whatever. But no,
Yeah.
I think that's a great setup. And I think he's always there to kind of remind the other Peter Parker it's always kind of hanging over him. Like, this guy's all washed up. This is what it could have been. It'd been so much easier if he was still around the whole time. And it brings it really impacts the rest of the movie in a very meaningful way.
Yeah, I think just everything about this movie was great. Every single scene is worth it. There's not a single thing in this movie I don't think that they could have chopped up, or, oh, it needed this scene, or I think they could have taken that scene out. Every single scene in this movie is worth your time. It's well executed, and overall it's really fun.
It's a very fun movie. Despite and the serious parts are serious, but the fun parts are fun. Spider Pig is excellent. All the other cast members that they bring in from the different Spider-Verses, they all have a lot of fun to bring to the table, and they do. So they're all so different, and it really helps the movie feel like they're in a different universe, and that there's so many different personalities and cool character designs, and they do a really nice job of just subverting your expectations, and that's really what I like seeing out of movies like that.
So, what did you think of the other characters? Because you have Peter B. Parker, you have Miles Morales, you have Spider Gwen or Gwen Stacy, and then you have Spider Man Noir, which are like the normal looking characters. But then you have people like Penny Parker and Spider Ham, too, for instance, that just come out of nowhere. What did you think about those two in particular?
I have no problem with them. I do wish that the side characters were fleshed out a bit more, but I understand why they weren't. The only complaint I have with the movie is that certain parts of it seemed a bit rushed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I didn't mind them. I thought that Spider Ham was really quite a funny character. He just walks in. The very first thing he says is, what does he say? Something about his hand being wet, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. It's wet for no reason." He goes to shake his hand. It was super funny. I don't know why he said that. Still don't know what he's referring to, but
Sweating like a pig, actually, and yourself?
I was really a big fan of Spider Pig and Penny, or what's his name? The pig guy. What's his name?
Spider Ham
Spider Ham. I was really a big fan of him.
or Peter Porker.
Peter Porker. And I really liked Penny Parker. I thought they were a lot of fun, and just the way that they introduced Spider Ham was just hilarious, and it still cracks me up, even to this day. He was a great comic relief, and I did not mind the inclusion of Penny either.
So if you had to make a spin-off of like one of the characters, who would you actually want it to be about?
What I'd love to see is the Spider Ham one, but if I wanted to actually have a legit movie, I would. It'd be kind of cool to see the black and white one. He'd be super cool, I
Yeah.
think. Even if it is just Nicolas Cage in disguise.
He's got the coolest comic book line. I really recommend you read it. The original line, at least. I don't know if they've rebooted it or anything, but the original line is so well written and so well illustrated, too. It's got a really scary feel to it, but at the same time, a more gumshoe mystery to it.
Yes, I like the old TV shows, the black and white ones. What's it called? My name's Friday, Joe Friday or something. I always love that vibe that black and white kind of stuff gives off, especially just the whole, the beginning of Spy Kids 2. Just it really resonates with me. No, it was the third one.
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids 3, sorry.
Spy Kids 3.
What a masterpiece.
My name is Junie Cortez. Now I'm a private detective, a PI, a private eye, a gumshoe.
Okay, we're getting so off topic.
Oh my gosh, we are.
The real core to this movie, though, has got to be the story behind it. And I think it tells a compelling story. I like that they give Kingpin a reason, besides just being the big bad guy, to actually want to build this particle collider no matter what. It wasn't because he wanted
they
to
included his family.
Yes, he didn't want to take over the world or anything like that. He just wanted to see his family again after messing up, and he was going to do anything to get it. It really left a personal I don't like villains for the sake of villains anymore. Not after seeing things like Infinity War and all these other things. I like it when they have a real tangible reason, or you can feel bad for what happened to them and you can see where they're coming from. I think we're past the whole being evil for evil's sake.
Yeah, we didn't really know how good this movie was going to be because the reason we went was just because I think my mother wanted to go watch a movie and my brother did too. And I can't remember if me and my dad just didn't want to stay home or something. I can't remember, but we were just looking at the other movies. And I totally forgot that this was coming out. Usually I'm pretty on top of release dates, but it totally slipped my mind. And so we went to go see that while they went to go see their movie. And I remember sitting down and Dad's like, I have never heard of this movie. He's like, did it look good? I was like, no. He's like, oh, great. Because the trailers were awful. They did not do anything for the movie. They were awful. Yes, it did well for its box office. I would say because its budget was about 90 million, I want to say, but you have to double that for marketing and other stuff.
How does this movie stack up compared to the other Spider-Man films?
It's my favorite.
No. At least at the like.
Oh,
Well,
it's the lowest grossing.
really?
Yeah, it is the lowest grossing. Every single other movie, I believe, have crossed the 500 million mark. I could be very wrong on that, but this one only made it to about 382 million, I want to say. So it still made its money back, just it wasn't to the level of the other live action movies. And I really think it was because of the marketing.
I'm glad. I think you're right at this point, but I'm glad that Sony's going through with making another movie. But before we get into that, I think you said it. How does this rank among your favorite Spider-Man movies?
It's not only my favorite Spider-Man movie, it's my favorite cartoon of all time.
I think I'm the same here. I'm not going to say it's my favorite cartoon of all time, but I think it's my favorite Spider-Man movie and probably animated movie, if that makes sense.
So, I guess I would say animated movie then instead of cartoon.
But yeah, if you haven't seen it, can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, please, if you have not watched this yet, please go out and find yourself a copy of it, or wherever it's streaming. Please watch it. You will not be disappointed.
But yeah, and thankfully though, this movie's not going to be the end of the Into the Spiderverse saga, because Sony just announced not one but two new movies, kind of, and they have a brand new trailer showing what's it called?
Across the Spiderverse.
Across the Spiderverse, and it looks to pick up right where this one left off. It's got a neat trailer. They changed up the art style, it seems, during some of the fights and some of the different worlds that I'm assuming they go to. And at the very end, it's revealed that it's part one. So we have a lot to look forward to, which I'm really glad to hear from one of my favorite movies.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Spider-Man 2099.
2090. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is that, isn't it?
Yeah, he showed up in the post-credit scene, and me and my dad, we were pretty excited with that because we don't love the 2099 comic series, but we love the Spider-Man 2099. That one's the only really good one. But when they announced that, he was in the movie, kind of at the end, it was just that post-credit scene. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, I've seen this trailer over and over. It's been all over YouTube and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. I don't think it comes out till next year or the year after. What is it? Probably next year. It's really, I think this is just speculation, but I know it's going to be 2022, so just next year.
October 7, 2022. We got a ton to look forward to next year.
Yep, and we'll keep you guys posted if we find any other updates and possibly any other leaks from it. So with that being said, anything else you want to talk about, Zeth?
Nope. I just think that this movie is not severely underrated, but I don't think enough people have watched it yet. And I cannot recommend you watch this movie enough.
Definitely agree. Well, guys, that should wrap things up for this episode. Thanks again for watching. If you guys want, you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if there's anything else you'd like to talk about. In the next coming weeks, we're going to be going through each of the Spider-Man movies. We started with this one, but next week we'll be starting with Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man movie and going forward from there. So look forward to that, guys, and thanks again for watching.
See you guys.